And welcome back to this week's edition of the Two Coaches, One Grid podcast. Whoa, messing up there already. I'm your host, Frank Morales, with our Coach Emeritus, Gil Laura, and our resident superfan, the Grizz, Mario Mesa. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
Fantastic. Great to be here. Another week, another good show. I mean, we got a lot of stuff going on.
Grizzy?
As we're taping, we have the NFL schedule release. As always, everything is NFL 24/7, 365. I'm ready. Let's get the show on the road.
Let's go. All right, like we said, we got some NFL updates with the schedule. We got a little spotlight on WNBA. All right, we're going to talk about NHL, a little bit of UFC, but we got to start with the craziness of the NBA playoffs, okay? And we're going to jump right in with the Denver Nuggets and their insane comeback, all right?
They are now up 3-2 with one game left to clinch the quarterfinals or to go on to the conference championship with 2 to go. Grizz, how you feeling over there?
Then we have
What's going on, kid?
Then we have a confession here.
Talk to me, kid. How you feeling?
What a week. Everything changes so quickly in life. You can't even anticipate it. A week ago, I'm crowning them champs.
On top of the mountain.
First 6 games of the playoffs, domination. Do we have the next Jordan, the next Kobe, the Ant-Man? Is it the end of the Joker? Even though he won his 3rd MVP. We have Murray tossing stuff. We're unraveled. It's over, right? Nope. Of course. You listen to me, go against me. Fade the Grizz. Because in 3 games, the Nuggets have proven to us why they're defending champs. Why you trust experience, why you trust the MVP, why you just can't make rash decisions. Luckily, I'm not the only pundit. Even the great Stephen A. was in the same boat as I. He was a little crazier. I think he said to win the whole thing. I don't know if I said win the whole thing. We'll have to check.
No, you did.
To win the title?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
You said they're going to win the Western Conference. It was going to be them and OKC.
Well, you beat Denver, you should be able to.
You felt good about them.
Right.
And then they would be against the Celtics.
Okay.
Yes.
But, yeah.
Yes.
But, I said they definitely get to the finals.
Yes.
Not a problem. But, hey, we're not done yet.
No, definitely not done.
And you never know. This is why we play the games. But not looking great right now. And
last night the Joker did put on a show, though.
The Joker embarrassed go there. I mean, that guy's won 4 defensive player of the years, and he doesn't look like he even knows how to spell the word defense.
And it's funny because you mentioned both little big guys.
Yep.
You talked about him and Carl Anthony Towns. And both
Towns
of them have
hurt.
they've disappeared.
Yep.
And it's incredible. All of a sudden, the change in the Nuggets game, everybody is contributing for the Nuggets as well.
Yeah,
They're getting some big time play.
Their coach
from some of the other guys. Their coach is doing a phenomenal job.
Their coach probably was like, "Listen, guys. I mean, we every game, the Lakers, the first 2, we just start out slow. We can't do this anymore. We're the champs. You got to set the tone, and that's what happens. They're coming out hot.
And he's also made some good adjustments on the court.
I do want to make sure that we do highlight that this hasn't been for lack of, spectacular play and effort from Ant-Man, because he's continued to be a baller.
Except last night. Last night he looked human.
Okay.
I think last night he's tired. I think he's
tired.
I think he's getting tired.
The guy's gassed because he's been trying to make it happen himself.
Did he drop 43?
Last night? No.
When did he drop 43?
The game before.
When did he drop 43?
The game before, 43.
All right.
But the thing is, like
right.
You guys have alluded to, everybody else on that team has disappeared. Rudy Gobert, they need to stop crowning this guy a freaking, a defensive player of the year. Yeah. Ever since he freaking cried on national TV, right? And then everybody sympathized with him and felt bad and gave him the freaking sympathy award. The guy is a great help defender. At any time that he has to go one-on-one with a dude, he gets freaking cooked.
I'm pretty critical on Bam, but he should have won it this year. Bam was a better defensive player than
Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert disappears in the playoffs, right? Anytime the spotlight's on him and he goes against anybody that's worth a damn on the court, it's a wrap. He needs to be on the bench as a 6th man, right? I get it. He's $100 million dude. And it doesn't matter. You're trying to win a freaking championship.
I mean, he did score 18 yesterday. Anthony Towns scored 23. They did try to chip in, but again, I just think that Malone and the Nuggets have made good moves on the court, good adjustments. And I just think, again, like you just said a few seconds ago, Anthony Edwards is tired. He is on both ends of the court, trying to score 35, 40 a game. And that takes a toll on you. It does.
Yeah,
it really does.
Listen, right? Like you go back, right? We look at, we always, obviously, Jordan's the prototype. Guy didn't win any championships until he got help, right? Because he was doing it all himself during the season and during the playoffs and was getting bounced.
One can argue he has a little bit more help than Jordan had at the beginning because Karl Anthony Towns, I think, didn't he drop 60 or 70 earlier this year? He's I think the number one pick.
No,
Gobert's their defensive player.
He's one of the best 3-point shooters in the league, if not the best.
So I'm saying that team has the help.
Impressive, but
they're the best defensive team.
Listen, one guy that I think the Nuggets, and you posted this question a few nights ago, is Aaron Gordon. I think he is playing, top-notch basketball. He's going to the hoop. He's going to the hoop. He's bringing the ball down. He's playing good defense. So I think he's been the X factor really in this series. Aaron Gordon for me has been the X factor.
Right, but he was last year too.
He is impressive.
Right, Perfect for that spot.
But that's impressive, and I'm glad you brought that up, right? Because I had to ask, right? I'm not a natural basketball guy, right? I watch it as a fan that never played it, competitively, and I had to ask, hey, why are they doing this? And to what to the point that you brought up, Malone what a great adjustment by taking Murray off of the ball, allowing Gordon.
Joker or Gordon. They're the two big guys who bring the ball down 80% of the time.
Allowing Gordon to bring the ball up and initiate the offense that way. He's off the ball and then saving Murray for clutch time. And then, because here's the thing, right? And to that point, they overused their whole pick and roll game the first couple games, right? They were ready for that. The Timberwolves were ready for that. But listen, it's easy to defend the fastball, right? It's easy to defend your best pitch, right? Your best go at it,
or your go-to. You know that on first down they like to run power off tackle.
Correct.
So you're going to stop that. You're going to set that. Correct. Then all of a sudden they start running counter or play action. Now you got to come.
Here's the difference now, right? There's no adjustment, or they haven't figured out an adjustment for what they're doing now. And here's the problem also, right? Aaron Gordon bringing the ball up pulls Anthony Towns out of the box, right? And it opens everything up for the Joker as well. So phenomenal adjustments all the way around. Like it's impressive, right? Understanding the game, seeing what happened. But it was like the first couple times, like, why is Gordon handling the ball right now? This is insane. But he's athletic enough to do it. He's got the skill set to do it.
He was the number 2 overall pick a couple years ago, and that's what I want to see.
Well, we're going on like 10 years now.
Aaron Gordon?
He's been around for a while.
I'm gonna have to say 5 years, maybe
5 to 7 at least.
Regardless, a lot of these players, it's funny that you're not gonna be either a LeBron or a game-changing Wemby. All these guys, some of these guys that get picked in the top 5, they just get picked because they're the best talent option. It's don't fit, and then they find themselves perfectly in a team like Denver. This kid has like him, Porter. It's just a great gel team, coached very well. And I'm sorry that I said down 0-2, no chance. You live in the prisoner of the moment. You live with what's hot, and you forget that these young teams need to be humbled.
The fan steps in and says, Minnesota.
Yeah, because I'm like, this is what's going to be the hot stuff for the next 5-10 years.
He's been in the league 9 years. 2014, 2015, he got drafted by the Orlando Magic.
The CTE brain doesn't work for a lot, but that long-term memory, we're good for it.
Lost a couple years in the COVID, I guess.
Yeah, it seems that way.
But here's the thing, right? And again, to your point, right? Highlighting that point, look at Contavious Caldwell-Pope, right? The Lakers are killing themselves quietly for trading that guy. And he's a productive member of that bench.
But you know what? Again, and we're going to move on to the next teams.
100%.
And the reason I'm saying that is because, again, basketball is such a team sport, and certain guys fit in certain offenses and certain teams where they didn't fit before, right? And then that's why you take a look at, and even though we were talking off air earlier with the Knicks and the Knicks getting beat up, the Knicks getting run down. What
an amazing segue.
Again, this is a team that 3 of them played college basketball together. at Villanova, won a national championship, Villanova, and they're playing major minutes every night, almost all 48. I mean, Josh Hart plays 48 minutes a game.
Yeah,
and which is unheard of.
These are and those are things that like you don't get credit for, right? But when you look at it and you really analyze it, holy shit!
No, it's impressive because again, they play. I said it last week and I continue to say it. Those Tom Thibodeau teams play good defense. They get up in your face. They're hard guys. They're tough guys. That's why they get run down as the season progresses because they do play so many minutes. He doesn't trust a lot of guys. And we went through some of that here with the Heat as well early on with Spo. Spo didn't remember. Spo would only go 2 guys deep in the bench. It was a 7-man rotation.
Yeah, it's rough.
So again, as a coach, it's hard to go to your 8th, 9th, 10th guy. But
that's having a 7-man rotation and still having guys available. They have nothing left. It's the 7 guys and that's it.
Well, no, I mean, again, there's a couple of guys sitting at the end of the bench, which we really don't know, haven't seen. But
if those guys ever get in,
right, correct, they're bodies. No, they're bodies.
So the Knicks, you got to give them, once again, not that I like saying this, but you got to give them their props. I like the players individually. Like you said, those 3 Nova kids matching up perfectly. Jalen Brunson is playing out of his mind.
40 last night.
Yeah, the guy's had
on a
540 point
foot.
games
On a gimp foot
in the playoffs.
I mean, really, on a gimp foot.
He is insane, and he's just talk about the guy that found the perfect system, the perfect players to play with.
I don't even know if it was like a perfect system situation. It's just, too many in the pro game, right? Too many people get enamored with the star, right? And he was the backup to Luka, right? Let's call it what it is. And I'm beginning to think, and I
didn't even think he was like a top 3 guy on that team with Luka.
I
think he played 10 minutes, and they
that's why
he was an afterthought. I didn't think he was not going to be.
That's why I say certain guys and certain teams they disappear, correct. And then all of a sudden they play somewhere else, and it's oh my gosh, he averages 28, 30 points a game, plays good defense, good off. And
he's reminding me of Jimmy Butler. When Jimmy Butler played with the Bulls, you're like, he was like that guy, little quiet assassin coming off his first couple of years. And all of a sudden, he's like, hey, you can score, do this. And he's become what we, playoff Jimmy, all that. Brunson is, I think, following the same thing where he's just going to be now in your MVP talk every year.
And all of a sudden, DiVincenzo is the tough guy. He's a tough guy on the team. He's like,
that guy's shooting lights out. Thanks, Steph, for that year I played with you. It showed me.
He only had 8 points last night, but it's just his grit, the way he plays the game.
And Josh Hart's perfect for him because he's that little brother in that team, even though he's the older guy, I think, out of the 3. But he's the guy that annoys them, and it works perfectly. And I hate to say it, their team is very gelled. Correct. Having said that, still think losing Game 6 because home teams have won every game, and then Game 7, you never know. But if it's tied Game 7 with 5 minutes to go, a lot of tightness in that arena.
Speaking of tightness, the Dallas OKC series is also very tight, and Lucas's rear end got real tight the other night, which is really out of character for him, missing free throws.
Yep.
Which really was the downfall of that game.
No bueno.
No, and again, that guy, and again, I heard it the other day as I was driving or whatever. This is a guy that's played in the Olympics. He's played in World League. I mean,
since he was like 14, 15.
He's had big moments, and he's a consistently good free throw shooter. And here he goes. He misses. Then the next guy misses, and then all of a sudden opens the door for OKC to come back and
this is a 7-game
series.
This is 7 games all day. This is yet again another young team that doesn't know it. But once again, they have so much firepower. OKC. I mean, I still think they're going to pull it off. But
tonight's a big game.
But
tonight's a big game. Whoever wins tonight really is in the driver's seat.
The Mavericks are not devoid of it firepower. Like
I'm not saying. I'm saying this is a fun series. I like it's a back and forth. I just if you got to pick one, I'm just going to say OKC because of home court and. You got the guy that finished second in the MVP. I think at the end, it's not surprising. Mavericks go to the finals. Not surprising, but once again, that's a fun series. That's a series I really don't care about. I just enjoy.
It's incredible to watch Kyrie shut up and play basketball.
Yeah, how about that?
That's a
how
great.
about
That's
you
a
just
great
play
point.
the game?
That's a great point.
It's incredible how good of a player
You're good
he is.
at that. You're not good at the other stuff. You're really good. You're really good at the.
But again, we go back to what I said and we talked about a couple of weeks ago. The lead guy there is Luka.
Yeah.
European mindset.
Yeah.
We don't get into drama.
Yeah.
We play basketball.
We ball.
And we make things happen. And all of a sudden, Kyrie is balling.
Perfect fit.
Oh, incredible.
Once you start learning each other and knowing, hey, this works. Things are going round and round over there. No flat stuff over in Dallas. We're ready to play ball. Hey, looks just like the basketball. Do it and go.
I think the LeBron effect on Kyrie has worn off. I think again he's back to playing ball like you guys said.
Again, he's gone through some transformation.
He's a mature human now.
He's gone through if I'm not mistaken, he went through the Brooklyn experience.
They all went through a Brooklyn experience. Kevin Durant, him. They all played 10 games together in 3 years.
So he went through that, and then, like I said, he ends up here with Luka, and it's more basketball oriented. Let's play. Let's learn each other. Let's play off each other.
Remember, last year he gets traded there, and it
was awful.
We don't know. No, but we don't know if we're gonna stay or not. What do? We just gotta give it time.
Exactly.
Everybody's in a rush.
Yeah,
how can you say after 20 games what's gonna happen? Give them a full season. Guess what? A full season looks pretty damn good.
And again,
now, the problem is, right? Their ultimate downfall is their lack of presence, right? I would say on the inside, that's their issue. Because then they can fall in love with perimeter play, and that might be an issue.
That's always a hot and cold situation.
It's going to be a little problem against a Joker.
Exactly.
Agreed. When they get to Denver, it is going to be a problem.
Even if it was Minnesota, it would be a problem with those big guys, you would think.
Well, you would hope it for Grizz's sake. Since we are talking about give it a year and things of that nature, we go to the Celtics 1 year later after getting beat by the Miami Heat. A number 8 seed team against top seed.
Right.
Here they are. Tonight they're leading 58-52. They're at half. I think they close the series tonight against Cleveland. They're looking strong. And now let me tell you, and I think that their coaches made some decent moves. I think he's been a little bit better this year. I think last year he did step into a
Now, remember that Joe Mazzulla goes from being a Division II coach to a bench coach to thrust.
That's a good word. Thrust. When we're talking about the Celtics coaching situation, I agree. Thrust is a proper word at this time.
No pun intended.
Oh, pun intended on this side.
Thrust into the Showtime.
He sure did.
And there's an evolutionary process there, right? It doesn't matter how good or how deep your basketball acumen is. Shit's on another level at that point, right?
Oh, the NBA is a whole different animal. The NBA itself is a completely different animal. So as you said, and when we say, and there's a saying that the longest 12 inches in the world are from assistant coach to head coach on the bench.
You're damn straight.
You get me? All of a sudden, when you move from that assistant to the head, it's like, Facts. Oh, I'm the header. Now I got to make all these decisions.
When you go from the number 2 to the number, you know everything as a number 2. But when you got to be the guy that answers the questions,
I don't just have to give suggestions now. I got to make the decision.
So it's always good to have a good number 2. So especially if he's a pain in your ass.
But again, I think I agree 100%. I do think that he's done a good job this year with them, and I think they are ready to make that move and go to the conference championship. I don't think Cleveland sticks around after tonight.
Coach, so let's kind of dive into this a little bit, right? Because I love me some Donovan Mitchell. Like he's a great player, right? I think they've capped out here. And, on a personal basis, that dude deserves to be on a winning team. Okay? He has carried the Cavaliers to this point.
Yes.
Right? And because, what else? There's literally a dad bod dude. I think they call him the minivan on the Cavaliers bench that looks like literally a middle-aged dad that you would see at the park taking his kids for a stroll. I don't even know. Diang, his name is. That guy gets significant minutes significant. And his gut hangs over his
George Niang.
Yeah,
played at Iowa State.
He's
not that old. I want you to know that. He's only 30 years old.
He looks awful in the white uniform. The black uniform kind of helps him out a little bit. In the white uniform, terrible.
Black makes you look slimmer.
Awful.
Well, but the thing with that is that Mitchell's hurt. Mitchell has not played today. Mitchell's not going to play tonight.
It's a wrap.
So, again, I don't see them being able to get there.
Miami Heat?
So,
question mark?
Maybe.
I mean, that would be great.
I think he would flourish in that.
I heard something the other day.
Miami.
If Jimmy could play as the number 2 and not the number 1, I think he would flourish, especially at his age now and where we're at. And if we could get a number 1 like that, I think it would be phenomenal.
And I think he would. I think Jimmy would, because he plays sometimes like he's the number 2 or number 3, so it's fine.
And listen, and the one thing he doesn't get enough praise, because he's been in Cleveland, right? He's been an unfortunate casualty in a couple situations. He would flourish here.
Oh, I would think so.
He's built for this noise. So
again, I mean, his basketball skills are unheard of.
Yeah. So closing out the segment here, we're gonna look at it right. Currently, we got the game, the Cavaliers and the Celtics. They're at Celtics are leading 58-52 right now, and then we got the Thunder Mavericks rubber match here to put one of them up in the series at 9:30 tonight. That's gonna be interesting. This is it's gonna be some nice conversations for next episode. But gentlemen, it's fun times. Grizz, are you all right? Are you gonna stand by your pick here?
Ride or die.
Ride or die.
We don't get off the horse in the middle of the trip. We ride that horse all the way till it dies.
It's just a different outcome of what I thought, but we're going to go Minnesota wins this series, man. That's how we do it.
All right, staying on the hardcore real quick to close out the segment, we're going to look at Caitlin Clark's debut. Coach, what are your thoughts?
Man, number one, I'm glad that her notoriety in college basketball has brought a little bit of notoriety to WNBA and made it a little bit more exciting. I don't really watch the game very much because I'm really not into WNBA. But I do think her debut last night showed that the girls on the hard court are better than where she's at. She is a rookie. She's a first-year player, committed rookie mistakes last night. She's got great handles. But again, at this level, like we just finished talking about the NBA, the WNBA at this level, you have to polish her game a little bit more. And I think it's going to take her a while to get where she's got to go. Now, I'm hoping, just for the sake of the sport and the league, that she's able to do it quickly and it doesn't lose fanfare.
Right, she's able to carry it.
Because if it takes too long, brother, people are going to be switching off, and the WNBA will continue being what it is, which is a redheaded stepchild, and supported wholly by the NBA's money and nothing else. Because they are a losing proposition.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that she gets going quickly so she can continue that ride, and maybe that league will, like the Grizz was saying off air earlier, maybe that league after 10 years or 12 years finally gets somewhere and turns a profit.
Well, the thing with it is this girl was playing in a title game 6 weeks ago. The turnaround is one of the quickest from going to college to pros out of any of the sports that you can see. So I think she scored 20 points, 10 turnovers. She doesn't know yet her teammates. They only played a couple preseason games. I think she's going to be fine, because one thing that I think travels well in any sport, well, in basketball at least, in any level, she can shoot the ball from anywhere. And she's going to be fine. And I think her notoriety with a couple other girls that are in the league that got drafted that have some name value. It's not just her. There's a few girls that have some name. The LSU girl, Reese, Cameron Brink from Stanford.
And there are some there are some veterans as well that
and they're
good
starting
players. So
they're starting. The Las Vegas Aces are going for 3 in a row. Like, there's reason to understand what's going on in that league now. I think it'll be, I think it'll happen. I'm not gonna be watching the games because this is not for me yet. I watch a few of the college girls games. They're entertaining, but once they become entertaining, I don't care what it is. The product entertains me, I watch it. And right now we're getting better play that makes me want to watch these games.
Right. So
and that's all it is.
That's a great point, right? Listen, if you're an athlete and you're a stud, you're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think that it's for lack of talent or lack of ability. I think it is what you guys have mentioned. The fact she doesn't know her teammates, quick turnaround, right? The turnovers are definitely going to go down.
The speed of the game. The speed of the game is not what she had in college. Again, it's a different situation.
And she
also played a very good Connecticut team. Connecticut is good in that league.
And she was the only dude on that team, right?
The only dude on that team.
You know what I mean? Like she was the only.
Okay, I'm sorry. Listen, nowadays in today's society, you gotta watch what you say, bro.
I'm sorry. You
gotta be careful, especially throwing out dude to a chick. I mean, listen.
I'm sorry, everyone.
Come on now.
She's a dudette.
Okay, there we go. I'll take that back.
She was the only stud on that team.
Yes.
And she carried them for 2 years.
Even a stud?
Stud.
Oh, that's another.
That's another questionable word.
It's politically correct.
You've been having a rough afternoon, sir.
She stands out.
She stands out. She's the best player. She was the best player on her team.
There you go.
She was the best player.
How about we just go to the old vernacular? Best player out there.
There you go. So it's like you said, speed. It's all encompassing.
Correct.
Now, to your guys' point, it's what the determining factor is. How quickly does she turn it around? Right, and it's got to be quick. It does. Because that flame burns out real quick when it comes to
fans.
WNBA fans and support.
Bottom line.
If she busts out and not good, yeah, it's not gonna work out. But like I'm telling you,
the other issue is she was the first overall pick for a reason. The Indiana Fever were no bueno.
No, the thing is they weren't no bueno the year before and the year before, and they got two number ones.
They got the number one pick from last year. Alicia Boston was a monster.
They got two number ones right now.
I think I don't know. I think they're gonna be fine. I think they win a title in the next 2 or 3 years, probably. That's just my guess. Not many teams to go after.
Another hefty guess by the Grizz. Write it down.
Ace.
Put it right next to Minnesota.
Ace, mark that.
Let's go check this out. If we're able to check that in a few years, whether I'm right or wrong, we're still doing good things.
Sure. We're in a good spot.
And I don't know. I'm telling you, Gay, at the end of the day, look at a lot of these number one picks in the WNBA. They actually pan out. Most of them. So I'm telling you, I think she's, it's one of those where like when I remember when Adrian Peterson and Calvin Johnson were drafted, they were like Hall of Famers. And sure enough, they're Hall of Famers. You could put me down for that.
Oh,
let's check back in like 15, 20 years.
Book it.
She's a Hall of Famer.
Book it. On that note.
So I think we'll be fine.
On that note, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back with some NHL action. All right, gentlemen, moving from the hardwood to the ice, let's talk about what's happening in the NHL playoffs right now. I know that we got a vested interest down here with the local team.
Little depressed today. Not too happy.
But let's jump right into it with the Panthers and the Rangers. Coach, talk to me about your feelings here.
Man, let me tell you, Bobrovsky played an incredible game. Incredible game. And it's not the Panthers and the Rangers, it's the Panthers and the Boston Bruins.
Sorry. Panthers and the Boston Bruins. I apologize.
Both goalkeepers in that series are playing incredibly well. Bobrovsky last night faced 30 shots. He got beat on one. The second one was questionable. I still feel like they could have called it, could have gone either way with the goalie interference on the second one. Again, that's how it works.
That was a payback.
But the other part that pissed me off about that is our own guy knocks his stick out of his hand. Like, boy, how frustrating is that? And we missed shot after shot after shot after shot after shot. Swayman made a save after save after save after save. Again, very frustrating night. Boston, kudos to them. They played physical. They want to fight. They're making it nice and dirty. We need to, and again, we scored as soon as our goal, as soon as our coach went off. Our level stepped up. I think we have a shot here to win at Boston. We've done it before. It's not something that's new for the Panthers, and I'm hoping we can close it out in 6.
I mean, we won the last 2 over there. Why not? Here's the thing. Unfortunately, the deja vu is scary to me. Last year, underdog, down 3-1, Boston with home ice, we come back. This year, Boston's the underdog, down 3-1, we got home ice. I'm a little bit scared. I'm not going to lie. Also, when I hear people say worst team to ever be down 3-1 with an 0-25, or they do, don't be us. That's not what I want. However, I agree with Gil. We are the type of team that we enjoy to muck it up. You want to fight with us? We bring the fight back. It was just an amazing game. Those games that it's just the goalies save everything. I love those games. I'm a big fan of goalies taking over games. It's awesome. Questionable call, the interference. You know, we got one over there. They got one over here. All right, we're even. Bummer. But all said, the hockey's fun, man, and I'm glad that
it's the most unpredictable playoffs.
Yeah, hockey's awesome, and I'm glad it's doing great here. It's finally at a peak in South Florida where it's never been before, and I want it to be, you know, like I don't want to choke. I'm just gonna be honest. I don't want to do what we did last year to them. You know, I don't like Boston, another city that is miserable. You know, I go. You know what? Take yourself, Boston. Bleep yourself all day.
It's a nice natural rivalry.
Yeah, I like it.
New England, Boston. It's all there.
And we might have the Rangers. That's why, you know, Frankie was already foreseeing the future.
I was jumping to
because
that.
possible the Rangers also in the same hole as us, where they're winning 3-2 and they're not
they got a tough game against the Hurricanes. That's going to be another slobber knocker of a game.
Yeah, because in hockey, 3-0 is something people come back from. It's happened, I think, 3 or 4 times at least. Hockey, home ice doesn't mean the same as it does in other sports, like being the home team. It just, you know, the puck is a different thing. It's a different animal, how it bounces off that ice. And if you get, you know, the unlucky bounce gets you. Bounce, all that, we're good.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, right? Like, talking about it, right? That's why I alluded to it, you know, on air. But Panthers, Rangers, okay, they both kind of failed to clinch the series, right? Last night. It's always with hockey, it's unpredictable, right? The home court situation or the home ice.
Yeah, both teams are down 3-1 on the road, and Carolina dominated. They were down 1-0, but once they scored and tied, Carolina, I think, scored 3 in a row, dominated them. They're down 3-0, and all of a sudden now it's 3-2. Carolina looks like they have all the momentum. And you know, remember they played us last year in the
they're tough.
Eastern Conference Finals. We swept them, but
they're tough.
Everybody that's left in hockey right now is a tough out. And I saw all the points were all bunched up. It's one of those years where it wasn't like last year where Boston was like 20 points ahead of everybody. I think everybody who's left was like literally in the West and the East, separated by like 7 or 8 points. I mean, anybody can win it. There's no favorite that
on the West side. Speaking of the West, the Canucks and the Oilers. Last night the Oilers jumped back in it.
Yep. Deadlock.
It's 2-2. Again, it's really good playoff hockey.
Oh, yeah.
The only series.
Not only is it good playoff hockey, it's good old Canada hockey out there. You know what I love? They love their anthem so much they don't even have a guy singing. In the middle of the thing, they stop the guy and the crowd sings the anthem because it's old Canada. And I want a Canadian team in there. You know what I'm saying? If the Panthers don't go, give those Canadians a chance.
Let me tell you something. If Dallas keeps playing the way they're going, they might knock out the Canadian team on that
side. I think Edmonton will come back and win that series. And then, like I said, they got is it Connor McDavid?
Yeah,
on the
they got a
nice.
But Vancouver's a good team. The Canucks are solid.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Anybody you pick and choose. Doesn't matter. Throw a dart. It'll be a nice series.
Should be fun.
Agreed.
All right, let's jump out. Let's close it out with the Dallas Stars. Currently, they're up. All right, 1-0 against the Avalanche in the first period. Okay.
They're looking to close it out.
Let's talk about the performances here, right? Or you know, how do they secure this? You know, what's their outlook for the rest of the playoffs? You know, like you said, all of these teams that are left are still they're very much alike, right? The points. Okay, the complexion there, it makes it that much more unpredictable in this year's playoffs. So, Coach, what are your thoughts?
I think the Stars are going to close it out tonight. They're up 3-1. They're playing, even though, again, the home ice is questionable, but they are playing at home. They've been dominant at home this year. They're 26-11-4 at home. They've had a great home record. So I feel that the Dallas Stars will close out tonight and they'll be sitting, waiting to see who wins between Edmonton and Vancouver.
Which I think that'll be 7.
I agree. I think that game is going to go to 7. And again, I think that at that point, once it goes to 7, Dallas is in the driver's seat because hockey, and like we'll talk about football in a little while, hockey is a very much a rest-oriented sport. The more days of rest you have, the better you play. You have more gas. Your guys can go a little further. You're a little more physical. As the days dwindle of rest, those teams tend to lose more often. And again, that's one of the betting angles sometimes that you look at when you're analyzing a hockey game.
Interesting. Oh, we're getting back. Are we going to get a deep dive here soon?
No, soon. We will get. We're going to get some futures. We're getting some NFL futures ready, some college futures. We're going to put those out.
All right,
you know what? I'm going to give you one college football future right now. We're going to throw it out there in the middle of the show.
Wow.
We've already taken, and I like Ole Miss to win the SEC.
Wow.
I like Lane Kiffin and the Ole Miss Rebels this year.
There you go. Hot takes. Super hot. Mark that down, book it. Let's make sure that we take that clip there for when football season starts. Should be fun. We go from hard court to ice to turf here now with the NFL. As we currently speak, where we have the schedule release show going on in the background. We also have some contract talk here. Let's start off with the schedule release. I know Grizz off air, you had a couple gripes with the Dolphin schedule for 2024. Talk to me.
Well, I had noticed they didn't have, to me, as many Sunday night games, but I do notice they have a couple Thursday night games, a couple Monday night games. I don't like that we're playing the Tennessee Titans again, doing that again on Monday night, but it is what it is. And so total 5, Green Bay on the road, Thanksgiving night. That's awesome. It's not a bad schedule. I'm looking at it. As always, we have the fun of looking at the schedules and doing wins and losses. You know, at the moment, you know, just being the homer that I am, I see 10 there. I see 10 wins.
There is about 3 or 4 games that I really think are going to be really, really good football games. I think the Colts game is going to be lights out. I really like their head coach. I think he does a great job. The package he put together.
Steichen.
The Rams game at LA.
Monday night, that's a fun one.
You know, I mean, for myself, the Vegas Raiders, we'll see how that goes. The Green Bay game, which you mentioned, I think that's going to be a slobber knocker of a game. Mm-hmm. I really do. The Texans at Houston, again, Dome Stadium. And again, they're going to play the Niners here on the 22nd. And again, I think the Jets are going to be a good football team next year. I really do. I like them a lot.
As long as they have a quarterback.
I think so. I think they've done a good job of spending money on their O-line.
I'm going to be very happy with the fact that we played New England week 5. We played Buffalo week 9, so we avoid, I feel, terrible weather. The only terrible weather game looks like, well, the last 2, Cleveland and the Jets on the road, look like it's going to be bad weather. And we all know that that's where Tua needs to make his money. He has to play good in the bad weather. Christmas weekend, I think the 22nd, home against the Niners. That's a big game with a big team. I mean, the end is brutal. That's, to me, the most brutal part. Green Bay on the road, Jets at home, Texans on the road, as we've seen how the Texans have been improving. Niners at home, then you finish with
Texans are a playoff team.
Yeah.
Playoff team.
As always, we got to see. Last year, the Dolphins won every game they were supposed to win, except for the Titans. And they lost every game that, you know, they were favored to not. Against good competition. So it was pretty much, we never really got to see them win the games that they needed to beat the better teams. It's going to start out week 2 against the Bills at home Thursday night.
You guys need to stay healthy.
Yeah. I mean, that's the story of all Miami teams.
That's the story of the NFL. That's the story of the NFL.
But it is the story of the
Hold
NFL.
on, coach. You lost your top 2 pass rushers. You lost both linebackers. Like, to the point where your playoff game, the Dolphins playoff game, they signed Bruce Irving and some other dude that hadn't played.
2 35-year-olds.
Like the week of, and expected, you know, and hope for the best.
Everybody gets hurt in the NFL. We probably took a little bit more of a beating than most teams.
A little bit more?
Listen, I would love to, the excuse of, hey, we didn't have anybody. We had no chance. If we had our team, But listen, we still were a playoff team. We didn't show up to play. Once again, playing the defending champs, playing our first road game with Tua in the playoffs in probably the coldest atmosphere ever. Yeah, it's not going to help.
Side note on that. Do you know that there are, there's multiple, and we're talking about double-digit instances or cases from that game of individuals who experienced frostbite that have had amputations because of that game.
Right.
It was the famous story of the three guys that died.
Again.
You know what I'm saying?
And I had this argument with another group of guys, fantasy football guys. These were fans that were dumb enough to go out there, brazen, chest out with the,
No. But there was regular fans too. Like there's cases of like a female.
Most of the fans that were affected were not bundled up. The players had nothing bad happen to the players.
No players. None
of that stuff. And that was the argument that I had.
If that game was played in a dome stadium, everything was perfect. I still think we lose the game. Maybe not as manhandled. We don't, and I'm not going to put the excuses up. I'm just saying these were, the cards that were laid out in front of us. And this year we have the opportunity, if we play well, at the end of the season, if we're playing well and a playoff team, we got a couple games that I think are going to be against playoff teams, right?
Again,
so we're going to see our medal.
Well, so that's the issue, right? What we're talking about with your injuries. You guys were in the driver's seat for home field advantage there, and the injuries played a significant part in you guys losing home field advantage and having to go to negative 25-degree weather.
But as I said before, that is the case with every NFL season and every NFL team. Last year, how many quarterbacks did we go through? For goodness sakes, Joe Flacco. Yo, Joe, come on. Are you busy? Are you tired of throwing to those high schoolers? Come on, we need you over here. The Browns, and all of a sudden, the Browns became a playoff team.
Was it 60 quarterbacks that started a game last year?
I don't even know. It was some atrocious number.
I think it was in that neighborhood.
And again, that's why to me, the game is always won and lost up front. We always like the bells and whistles on the ends, the fast guys, the quick guys. Yes. However, the hog mollies are the ones that are going to make the difference. When our hog mollies or when the Dolphins' hog mollies were healthy, the Dolphins played well. As soon as the left tackle went down, the right guard, the center, they had them. That's it. It changes everything.
Cohesion on the offensive line. It
changes the protection.
Key.
It changes how you run the ball. It changes every little thing. So again, healthy equals victory. The NFL, that's it for that. The 49ers, Super Bowl champion KC Chiefs, again, Mahomes, anytime Mahomes gets hurt, they've had a decent backup and they've kind of gotten through it. But if that guy goes down for 6 or 7 games, KC is no longer KC.
No.
And again, that's why I always respect what Andy Reid does and what that front office does of getting players up front. Same thing with the Niners. Good, solid offensive line, good backups. To me, that's the key in this era of football. It's always been that way.
And to that point, right? Talking about when you get your injuries, because you're gonna get the injury bug during the season, right? The last thing you want is to get that injury bug late in the season, right? When the games really matter, right? When the weather turns and it turns it back into a ground game,
And when you especially if you're having a good season,
right? If
you're sitting at 9-2, 10-3, you're poised to finish out and have a nice spot for the playoffs, some home field advantage. You get the injury bug at that time and all of a sudden you go to 10-6. 10-7,
10-6, and now you're a wild card.
Now you're no longer exactly. Now you got to travel. You're lucky if you get one wild card at home, and all hell breaks loose.
100%. All right, let's jump into some contract news here. I know, Coach, you wanted to talk about the Jared Goff contracts and how it affects other quarterbacks, especially Tua, in this offseason and moving forward, right, into the future.
I just pulled up the NFL contracts of quarterbacks. Right now, Jared Goff has now settled in nicely into the number 2 spot behind Joe Burrow. Okay? These guys are averaging over $50 million. Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, Jared Goff, and Joe Burrow. Then right below that, you have Kyler Murray at $46 million. My issue is, are we going to invest $50 million a year in Tua? Is that something that the Dolphins see as the key to them winning the Super Bowl? Is he really the guy for the next 4 to 5 years at $50 million a year? You tell me 40, 45, okay, incentives, great. You give me incentives, you make it an incentive-laden contract where the guy has the opportunity to make $52, $53 million a year, perfect. My problem comes in guaranteed monies and that situation there to see where you're at with that. So that's where we're concerned.
So I'm not disagreeing with you in that fact, right? Like it's definitely an investment of funds, right? Do you want to portray the belief or perception that you see him in that top tier of quarterbacks that is worthy of getting paid? However, right, we've had this conversation and this discussion
ad nauseum
in the past, right? The $50 million a year mark for quarterbacks is not what it used to be at face value because of the salary cap, right? The salary cap has gone up in the past 3 years, something like 25 to 30%.
Coach,
so that $50 million
Coach,
is
just
really
let Wilkins walk. Wilkins just got signed.
I understand.
So you always fall back to that argument. That's always your argument.
But you have to stop looking at it as on actual base, like, absolute value of number, right? You have to look at it as percentage of the salary cap that you're spending.
But of course,
because NFL teams are incentivized, right? And actually, it's kind of required to spend a minimum amount of money, a percentage of the salary cap, right, each year. If they don't spend it, there's actually sanctions or penalties for that. Yes. So they have to reach a minimum, number. And again, if you want to be competitive, you're going to try to max out your salary cap as much as possible. So
with that argument being said, we're going to go to your New York Giants and take a look at them spending $40 million a year for Daniel Jones.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
So again, that's my point. My point is not, well, the percentage, can we afford it? Should we? That's not what I'm talking about.
But what I'm saying is
I'm talking about what you're spending and what you're getting in return.
And what I'm saying is if the average quarterback, right, costs 25 to 30% of your salary cap, regardless of number, whatever the number is, right? Let's say the salary cap is $250 million, right? And the average quarterback is 25 to 30% on that tier, right? Like, it's not about the absolute value of money at that point. It's about
who would
what
you consider
percentage.
Who would you consider an average quarterback? Throw out a name, any name. Throw me a name. Anybody. Baker Mayfield?
Trevor Lawrence.
Derek Carr. Okay, those guys are making between 33 and 37.5.
But when were those deals signed, right? Before the salary cap increased.
Okay, again.
And again, it's increased literally like 10% year over year for the past 4 or 5 years.
Again, the second tier quarterback. For goodness sakes, the back-to-back NFL champion quarterback is making $45 million. Which I'm sure they're gonna ump him up.
No, he's about to start the back half of the contract. Correct. where like the salary per year starts to tail off.
Because they did a great job of signing.
Right, they did.
Understood. But again, I have an issue with spending a quarter of my salary base package money.
If we're talking about understood.
Again, now you want to give them a $40 million base and $15 million worth of incentives? Phenomenal. You play 15 games, man, we're going to give you another $2.5 million. Man, you lead the league in passing, all right, we're going to throw in another 1.7. Not a problem.
Now we're seeing eye to eye with
not
that.
A problem. Like I said,
I'm just saying what $30 or $40 million used to be is not what it.
I'm not. Again, I didn't say. Yeah. I said to me the $50 million mark is like top tier. You get me? And for me, again, Goff had a great season. He did a great job. Good players. And he was, again, their offensive line. So, I don't know. Tua has yet to show me that he can be consistent. We've had one good year, one complete year. One. I don't think we should be ready to invest $53 million guaranteed.
And I'm not saying that either. I'm just saying
things of that nature.
I'm just saying kind of the math behind it, the calculus behind it, right? Like, at what point does the because there was one point, right? We're talking about close to 7, 8, almost a decade ago, where Jimmy Garoppolo gets signed for $137 or $138 million
we were talking about the USFL earlier
by the 49ers, right?
And Steve Young being $100 million man.
And at that point, everybody was freaking out at the face value. And there was a lot of argument to say, like, actually, that's a smart deal because in 2 or 3 years, when the salary cap situation starts to increase after with this next deal that they just signed, it's going to be a very economical deal. And that's where we're at right now. And at what point does the $50 million mark become the norm versus the gold standard, $40 million and $30 million before that?
And when we talk $50 million a year average, that's not the total guaranteed money.
Right.
You get me? So again,
you're talking about average value,
right? That's where we're at,
right.
And that is, like I said, that is my concern of signing to a long term,
right,
at a costly contract. Again, I'm a very incentive laden guy. I would be the worst GM in the NFL.
All of your contracts would be incentives.
Everything would be incentive. We would blow the top off the cap. If the guys did what they
maximize their...
Oh my gosh, we'd be the most expensive
You'd be in
team.
salary cap hell.
We would be broke. I'd be playing the taxes. It wouldn't even be close. But again, I believe in the incentives because I keep seeing year over year that when you start guaranteeing these guys money, they get rich and fat.
Yeah, there's a complacency.
And they no longer produce what they did in order to get there. It's like we talked about the UFC, the prelim fights and the main event fights. The prelim fights are always action packed, and they're trying to move up and get that money. So again, that's all I want to talk about. It's just Jared Goff getting that money now puts the onus on the Dolphins signing Tua and what they're going to give him.
Before we jump into the octagon, I want to get a direct thought on this. Do you think Jared Goff deserves that money?
Man, you know what? He's a gamer. He's a tough guy. He's always been a tough guy. He's taken one team to a Super Bowl. He is the leader of that team.
NFC Championship.
And like I said, he's durable. He plays every game. So to me, he's a guy that's earned it. He's 30 years old. He's earned the opportunity to make that much money. Would I pay him $53 million a year? Again, based on incentives? Yeah. But not on the hip. Again, his fully guaranteed money is $113.
Which is economical.
His total guaranteed is $170
based on incentives.
Right. So again, that's where they're at there. So,
Grizz, what are your thoughts on the whole Tua situation, the pending contract that we're...
Listen, I don't think he should be the highest paid player. His numbers are representing what he should be paid. I think the injury takes into effect. If it's for his best interest, you max out. Because you never know when you're going to play again. It's not... He doesn't have to worry about what the team thinks.
We're not talking about... Yeah, obviously the player...
I'm just saying...
I think we agree that the player wants to max out.
I don't want to sign him to that type of deal. But I believe... If I believe in Tua, I got to sign him to something. Is there a happy medium? I think there's a happy medium. I think Tua's smart enough to know that I can make a good amount of money, and yet I can't break the bank because, once again, we go back to the Tom Brady situation. The guy knew to win, you can't max out because other people have to be signed. So I don't think Tua will be that kind of greedy guy, and I think the Dolphins will be able to, they have a good relationship in the fact that if he believes, this coach believes in him and puts him in the right way to succeed, it's going to be hard to go somewhere else and to do that.
Yeah, so, the evil is always better than the evil you don't know.
You made a great point. If history serves us correctly, every quarterback that has maxed out their contract, their team has taken a nosedive the next 4 or 5 seasons because they are unable to get the rest of the players, the guys around them, defensively, offensively, to be able to maximize the pot.
That's why the Bears getting their new quarterback and resetting the clock.
Correct.
It works out. I like the Justin Fields kid, but you know what? It's better for them to do that, reset the clock. Maybe he's a better quarterback. And that's how the team's got to do it these days. It's either that way or you become Kirk Cousins and you steal money for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I mean,
this is just the way it goes.
To that point, listen, it also depends on the structure you have around the kid early, right? and in this kid's case, when we're talking about the Chicago Bears, they haven't historically, they are not good developers of quarterbacks. Let's see if this changes. We'll see what happens.
There was only one guy, and that guy won because of his nutsacks.
Yeah.
McMahon was
they had Grossman.
He wasn't a great quarterback. The guy wasn't a great quarterback. He was just such a tough guy that.
Well, it's a really bad city to play outdoors as a quarterback. The Windy City. It's just eventually they want to get a dome. When that happens, we might have the next 30 years of the greatest quarterbacks all play for the Bears.
Yeah, we'll see. But to your point, right? Like if quarterback's perspective, all right, you don't want to give me the top tier money, like all right, but you better make that thing fat with incentives, right? And bet on yourself if you have a sack, right? To your point. Let's see what Tua does. It's going to be interesting to see, how this plays out, and it's going to be dependent on what goes on, right, this season, right? Because he's on that 5th year extension, correct? So let's see what happens.
This is the time.
Now, dude takes him on a run. Better pay up, sucker, because there is really no negotiating power there.
Again, if he takes him on a run, why is he taking him on a run? You got the cheetah. You got Waddle. You got a couple good running backs. You got an O-line. You got a defense. You got to take a look at all the working parts. You really do. Now, those guys go down, and he plays Mahomes type of offense, then I got you. You're right. You're absolutely right. Because Patrick Mahomes the last 2 years has won with him and Kelsey. Because all his receivers have been mediocre at best.
That's saying a lot.
Okay, his best guy right now is not going to play next year, or God knows what's going to happen with that kid. So again, if he takes on that mantra and does that, then I get it.
All right, we're going to close it out right there. We're going to be back to close out the show with a little Octagon talk. We are back to close out the show with our obligatory UFC talk, right? Near and dear to our hearts. Big fans here. Coach, take it away.
Well, I mean, first off, I do want to apologize for the egg that we laid with last week's fight. Our boy, our Cuban-born Robles de Españas did not come through. He lost in a unanimous decision, got beat. He's now 5-1. We'll see where he goes from here and how things happen. As I mentioned last week, he is a little bit long in the tooth. He's 35 years old, so he's got to be good quick. The main event was exciting. Derek, the Black Beast Lewis, incredible knockout. Joaquin Buckley was good as well. Carlos Ulberg, 12 seconds. That kid's an up-and-comer. He's 11-1. Keep an eye out for that name, Carlos Ulberg. He is going to be a stud, a true stud. Again, I thought the fight card was good. It was a solid night of fights. This weekend, we have another one. We have Edson Barboza, who never seems to retire. He's 38 years old. He's going to fight Leron Murphy. We'll see how that goes. Murphy's is pretty good. He's 13-0. He's British. We got Chaos Williams. That's going to be another good fight. Adrian Yanez, excellent fighter. That's going to be another. That one should be an easy fight for him. Look for him to finish within the distance. And and again, there's going to be another fight in the prelim. A Abbas Magomedov against Warley Alves.
There's another one of those?
Yeah, bro, there's all those. They're all over the place. Alves is a veteran, a wily veteran. It should be an interesting fight. He's 15-7. Magomedov is better. He should win, hands down. However, we'll see how that works out because, as I said, Warley has been in some good fights, some tough fights. So that one could be a little surprising as far as the distance goes. They're both 33 years old. So Warley has lost his last 3. We'll see if he's due for a win. I doubt it, but it should be entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, there's some fun events coming up, I should say, with UFC. And
UFC 302 is going to be a slobber knocker. Makhachev versus Poirier. We'll get deep into that next week. There's 3 fights there. Sean Strickland against Paulo Costa, Kevin Holland against Michael Oleksiejczuk, and Almeida against Romanov. Those are all good 4 fights in the main event. I've got one of the guys that I follow that I like a lot, Joe Selecki. He's going to be an underdog. I'm probably going to take him against Grant Dawson. That's going to be a good fight. Again, that pay-per-view is going to be solid up and down.
It's going to be some work to live up to UFC 300. Like that was legit. UFC 301, right? Kind of a downer compared to the action that we saw in 300, but you can't. It's kind of luck of the draw, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's a quick for me. It's a kind of quick turnaround for Dustin to fight Makhachev here.
I feel like and I would agree because he just fought,
and it was a tough fight. That French guy is good. That French dude is solid, and it was a slobber knocker of a fight. And Islam's good. Islam is good. He's a -500 favorite at the moment. It's one of those situations where we'll see if the diamond can come through, because I just think he's.
Oh, I'm a Poirier fan.
He's an amazing fighter, and he always fights the tough fights. He's always in.
He's not afraid. He's not
afraid to sign on the dotted line
at all.
So we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, no, it's going to be exciting, gentlemen. I think that about does it for us today. Thank you for tuning in for the Two Coaches, One Grizz podcast. Hope you enjoyed the discussion as much as we did. We'll see you guys next week for some more spirited discussion on sports in, locally and around the world. All right. I do want to thank our sponsor, Prodigy Athletic Gear, your source for custom integrated sportswear. Visit prodigyathleticgear.com. All right. For your source in sportswear. Gentlemen, that about does it for us. Two Coaches, One Grizz. Out.